The night sky over Montana was clear and full of stars. Navy pilot Heather Reeves flew her small aircraft through the darkness. She was supposed to be on a regular training flight, but something caught her eye. A bright light moved across the sky. It wasn't a star or a plane. It moved too fast and in the wrong way. That's not normal, Heather said to herself. She knew she should stick to her flight plan, but curiosity got the better of her. She turned her plane toward the strange light. The light grew brighter as it fell toward Earth. It wasn't falling in a straight line, but moving in a way that suggested control. Then it dropped suddenly, leaving a trail of glowing pieces behind it. Heather watched as it crashed into the forest below. She circled the area looking for a place to land. There was a small clearing not far from where the object had crashed. It would be tight, but Heather was skilled. She brought the plane down carefully between the trees. With a flashlight in hand, Heather made her way through the forest. The crash site wasn't hard to find. Trees were broken and strange glowing pieces of metal lay scattered on the ground. They gave off a soft blue light that helped guide her way. What she found wasn't a meteor or a satellite. It was some kind of pod about the size of a small car. It didn't look like anything made on Earth. The metal had a strange pattern that seemed to move when she looked at it directly. Part of it had broken open in the crash. Heather approached carefully. She was a pilot, not a scientist or a soldier, but her training had taught her to stay calm in strange situations. She shined her light into the broken pod. Inside was a woman. At least she looked like a woman at first glance. But as Heather got closer, she could see this was no human. The woman's skin shimmered with colors that changed as she breathed. Instead of hair, she had what looked like small crystals growing from her head. They caught the light and broke it into tiny rainbows. At her neck were strange moving slits that opened and closed slowly. The woman wasn't moving much. A clear, thick liquid leaked from a wound in her side. It had a faint glow to it like the metal pieces outside. "Hey, can you hear me?" Heather asked, not really expecting an answer. The woman didn't respond. Heather knew basic first aid. She wasn't sure if it would work on an alien, but she had to try. She took the first aid kit from her flight suit and opened it. The wound needed to be cleaned and covered. She worked carefully, using water to clean away the strange fluid and then placing a bandage over the wound. As the first light of dawn broke through the trees, the woman's eyes fluttered open. Heather gasped. The eyes had up and down pupils like a cat's, and they glowed amber in the morning light. The woman looked at Heather for a long moment. Then, to Heather's surprise, she spoke in perfect English. "You have helped me. I thank you." Her voice had a strange musical quality with an accent Heather couldn't place. "You speak English?" Heather asked, shocked. "Yes. We have studied your world for many years. My name is Nixaria. I am a diplomat from the Lasari people." Heather introduced herself, still trying to process what was happening. "I'm Heather Reeves, United States Navy." Nixaria tried to sit up but winced in pain. "I must leave this place. They will be looking for me." "Who? Who's looking for you?" Heather asked. "The Vraks, they attacked my ship. I escaped in this pod, but they will track it. They cannot find what I carry." Nixaria's hand went to a small device attached to her wrist. It looked like a bracelet made of the same strange metal as the pod. "Why did they attack you? What do they want?" Heather helped Nixaria sit up against the side of the pod. "My people and the Vraks have been enemies for centuries. We are peaceful. They are not. They wish to conquer. We have kept them from many worlds." Nixaria paused, seeming to consider how much to say. "I was on a mission to observe Earth, to see if your people might be ready for contact. The Vraks must have followed me." Heather looked around nervously. "How long until they get here?" "I do not know. Soon, perhaps. My pod's emergency beacon was activated when it crashed. My people may find it too, but they are much farther away." In the distance, Heather heard the sound of helicopters. "That's probably our government. They must have tracked your crash too." Nixaria looked alarmed. "I cannot be taken by your authorities, not yet. The Vraks have ways of finding information. If they learn I am being held somewhere, they will attack that place with no concern for lives lost." Heather had to make a quick decision. Her duty said she should wait for the government officials and hand over the alien. But something about Nixaria made Heather trust her. The alien could have attacked her when she woke up, but instead she had been honest and grateful. "Can you walk?" Heather asked. "I believe so, with help." "Then let's get you to my plane. We need to move before those helicopters get here." Heather helped Nixaria to her feet. The alien was light, much lighter than a human her size would be. They moved slowly through the forest, Nixaria leaning on Heather for support. Where will we go? Nixaria asked. I know a place. A friend's cabin not far from here. We can figure out our next steps there. They reached the plane just as the sound of helicopters grew louder. Heather helped Nixaria into the passenger seat and then quickly went through her pre-flight checks. She needed to be in the air before the helicopters spotted her plane. As they took off, rising above the trees, Heather saw 2 black helicopters approaching the crash site. They had no markings, which was strange for government aircraft. Those might not be our people, Heather said, pointing. Nixaria looked at the helicopters and her face showed fear for the first time. No, the black machines. They are not your government. The Vrax can take control of simple machines from a distance. We must fly very fast now. Heather didn't need to be told twice. She pushed the plane to its limits, flying low over the forest to stay off radar as long as possible. Behind them, one of the helicopters changed course, turning to follow them. They've spotted us, Heather said. Hold on tight. This is going to get rough. Nixaria gripped her seat as Heather made the plane dance through the sky. The Navy pilot pulled every trick she knew, using the mountains and valleys to lose their pursuer. After nearly an hour of tense flying, they finally seemed to be alone in the sky. Heather allowed herself to breathe normally again. That was impressive flying, Nixaria said. You have great skill. Thanks. Let's just hope it was enough to lose them for now. Heather directed the plane toward her friend's cabin. As they flew, the sun rose fully, revealing the beautiful Montana landscape below. But Heather couldn't enjoy the view. Her life had just become much more complicated, and somehow she knew this was just the beginning. Heather landed the small plane in a field not far from her friend's cabin. The landing was rough on the uneven ground, but she managed it without damage. She helped Nixaria out of the plane and they began walking toward the cabin. We need to hide the plane, Nixaria said, looking back at it with worry. There's an old barn about half a mile that way, Heather pointed. But we need to get you inside first. Your wound needs better care. They walked slowly, with Nixaria leaning on Heather. The morning air was cool and crisp. Birds sang in the trees, seeming not to notice that an alien walked among them. The cabin came into view, a simple wooden structure with a porch and a stone chimney. Smoke rose from the chimney, which meant Heather's friend was home. My friend Samantha is a doctor, Heather explained. She used to work for NASA studying how space affects human bodies. She can help you. Can she be trusted? Nixaria asked, her amber eyes serious. With my life, Heather replied. And now with yours. They reached the porch and Heather knocked on the door. After a moment, it opened to reveal a woman with curly red hair and glasses. She smiled when she saw Heather, but her eyes widened when she noticed Nixaria. Heather? What's going on? Who is... She stopped mid-sentence as she took in Nixaria's strange appearance. Sam, this is Nixaria. She needs our help. Can we come in? Sam stepped aside without a word, too shocked to speak. Once they were inside and the door was locked, Sam found her voice again. She's not human, she said simply. No, I am Lasari, Nixaria replied. I am sorry to come to your home this way. Sam stared for a moment longer, then seemed to snap out of her surprise. You're injured. Let me look at that wound. While Sam examined Nixaria's injury, Heather explained what had happened. The crash, the strange helicopters, and their escape. Government agents will be looking for her crash site by now, Heather said. And if what she says is true, these Vrax aliens will be hunting her too. The Vrax are very real, Nixaria said as Sam cleaned her wound properly. And very dangerous. They do not value life as you do. To them, other species are resources to be used or obstacles to be removed. Why did they attack your ship? Sam asked, applying a fresh bandage to Nixaria's side. The alien's blood was clear with a blue glow, but it seemed to clot like human blood. I carry information they want. Nixaria touched her wrist device again. Access codes to Lasari defense systems. If they capture me and take this, my homeworld would be vulnerable to attack. Heather paced the small cabin. I need to hide my plane before someone spots it. Sam, do you still have the keys to the old barn? Sam nodded and pointed to a hook by the door. Be careful. If government people are looking, they might already be in the area. Heather took the keys and headed out. She jogged back to her plane, constantly scanning the sky for helicopters. The area seemed clear for now. It took her nearly an hour to get the plane into the barn and covered with an old tarp. By the time she returned to the cabin, she was sweaty and tired. Inside, she found Sam and Nixaria sitting at the kitchen table drinking tea. It was such a normal scene that Heather almost laughed. Your friend has been telling me about Earth, Nixaria said. Your cultures are so varied and interesting. She's been telling me about the Lissari too, Sam added, excitement clear in her voice. They've been watching Earth for decades, learning our languages and studying our development. We believe in non-interference, Nixaria explained. We watch and learn, but we do not make contact until a species has reached a certain level of development. And have we reached that level? Heather asked, sitting down and accepting a cup of tea from Sam. That is what I was sent to determine, Nixaria said. But now? She was interrupted by a beeping sound from her wrist device. Her face paled, making her skin turn a lighter shade of its opalescent color. What is it? Heather asked, alarmed. Vrax ships, 3 of them. They have entered your atmosphere and are tracking my pod's radiation signature. Nixaria looked up, fear in her glowing eyes. They will be here within hours. We need to move, Heather said, standing up. Sam, pack whatever medical supplies you can. I'll get food and water. Wait, Sam said. If they're tracking radiation from the pod, won't they follow it to Nixaria? Is she giving off the same radiation? Nixaria shook her head. Not exactly. The pod's power source leaves a stronger trail. But yes, they can detect my biology if they are close enough. How close? Heather asked. Within a few of your miles, Heather thought quickly. Then we need to get far away from here. Sam, do you still have your brother's truck? Yes, it's in the shed. The keys are in the usual spot. They moved quickly after that. Sam gathered medical supplies while Heather found food, water, and other essentials. Nixaria watched them with a mixture of guilt and gratitude. I should not involve you in my problems, she said. The Vrax will not hesitate to kill you. You didn't ask to crash on our planet, Heather replied. And I'm not going to hand you over to aliens who want to use you to destroy your world. Soon they were in Sam's brother's truck, heading down the mountain roads. Nixaria sat in the back, monitoring her wrist device. There is something I have not told you, she said after they had been driving for an hour. I am not simply a diplomatic envoy. I am Sha'aria Nixavan, heir to the Lissari High Council. Heather glanced back at her in surprise. Your royalty? Not as you understand it. Our leadership is chosen based on ability, not birth. But I was selected from a young age and trained for leadership. My mission here was of the highest importance. All the more reason to keep you safe, Sam said from the passenger seat. Suddenly a shadow passed over the truck. They all looked up to see a dark shape moving through the sky above them. It wasn't like any aircraft Heather had ever seen. It was flat and wide like a manta ray with glowing red lines across its black surface. Vrax scout ship, Nixaria whispered. They've found us. The ship fired a beam of red light that hit the road ahead. The ground exploded, sending rocks and dirt flying. Heather swerved to avoid the debris, but the truck skidded on the loose gravel. They spun off the road and down a short embankment before crashing into a tree. The impact wasn't too severe, but it left them stunned for a moment. The ship passed overhead again, circling back. We need to move, Heather shouted, unfastening her seatbelt. Into the trees! They scrambled out of the truck and ran for the dense forest. The ship fired again, hitting the truck. It exploded in a ball of flame. This way, Heather said, spotting an old mine entrance half hidden by bushes. They ran to it and ducked inside just as the ship made another pass. The mine was dark and cold, but it provided shelter from the Vrax ship. They moved deeper inside, using the light from Nixaria's wrist device to guide them. They will send ground troops now, Nixaria said. The ship's sensors cannot penetrate this far underground, but they know we are in this area. What do these ground troops look like? Sam asked nervously. They are not like the Vrax pilots. The ground units are created for combat. They stand taller than humans with multiple arms and exoskeletons. They carry energy weapons that can cut through most materials. Great, Heather muttered. How many do you think they'll send? A small search party at first. Perhaps 4 or 5 units. Heather looked around the mine tunnel. It was old but seemed stable. We need weapons. And a plan. They moved through the tunnel, looking for anything that might help them. They found old mining tools, a pickaxe, some metal rods, and a rusty shovel. These won't do much against energy weapons, Sam said. We need to be smarter, not better armed, Heather replied. Nixaria, how do these troops communicate with each other? Through devices in their armor. It allows them to share what they see and coordinate their movements. If we could disrupt that, it would give us an advantage. Nixaria considered this. My wrist device might be able to interfere with their signals, but I would need to be close to one of them. So we need to capture one, Heather said. Or at least get close enough to it. They set up a simple trap near the mine entrance. When they heard movement outside, they tensed, ready for their plan. A Vrak soldier entered the mine. It was just as Nix Aria had described. Tall, with 4 arms and a hard, insect-like exoskeleton. Its head had no visible face, just a smooth surface with glowing red sensors. Heather waited until it was under their makeshift trap, then cut the rope. Old mining equipment fell on the soldier, momentarily stunning it. Heather and Sam rushed forward with the metal rods, striking at the joints in its armor. The soldier fought back with incredible strength, throwing Sam against the wall. But Nixaria moved with surprising speed for someone injured, getting close enough to press her wrist device against the soldier's armor. There was a high-pitched noise, and the soldier froze. Its sensors flickered and went dark. I have disrupted its systems, Nixaria said. But the others will know something is wrong when it stops reporting. Heather quickly took the soldier's weapon, a sleek, gun-like device. How do I use this? Point and think of firing. It reads neural impulses. Heather aimed the weapon at the mine entrance and concentrated. A beam of energy shot out, melting rock where it hit. That will work, she said with grim satisfaction. Now we need to move deeper into the mine. They'll be coming in force now. They moved deeper into the old mine, with Heather leading the way. The Vrak's weapon felt strange in her hands, light but powerful. Behind her, Sam helped Nixaria walk. The alien's wound was bleeding again after her quick movement to disable the soldier. How are you holding up? Heather asked, glancing back at Nixaria. I will manage, she replied, but her voice was weaker than before. We need to find a place to rest soon. The mine tunnels branched in several directions. Heather chose paths that went deeper underground, hoping to make it harder for the Vraks to track them. After about 20 minutes of walking, they found an old chamber where miners had once taken breaks. There were still some wooden benches and tables, dusty but intact. Let's stop here, Sam said. I need to check Nixaria's wound. They sat down while Sam examined the injury. The bandage didn't hold. I need to stitch this closed. Sam took out her medical kit and prepared to work on Nixaria. Heather kept watch at the tunnel entrance, listening for any sounds of pursuit. Your friend is very skilled, Nixaria said to Heather as Sam worked. She was going to be a surgeon before NASA recruited her. Heather explained. She knows what she's doing. On my world, healers are highly respected. They train for many years and are considered wisdom keepers. Sam smiled as she finished the last stitch. I like the sound of that. On Earth, doctors are respected too, but we're not usually called wisdom keepers. What is your world like? Heather asked, curious despite their dangerous situation. Nixaria's eyes grew distant. Beautiful. Our cities are built in harmony with nature. Tall towers of crystal and living material that change with the seasons. Our planet has 3 moons, and when they align, the oceans glow with light from tiny creatures in the water. It sounds amazing, Sam said, applying a fresh bandage. It is. But like Earth, it faces threats. Nixaria's expression darkened. The Vraks have been expanding their territory for centuries. They strip planets of resources and move on. They have no respect for other life forms. How do your people fight them? Heather asked. With technology and diplomacy. We form alliances with other peaceful species. Together we have managed to hold them back, but they are persistent. Nixaria touched her wrist device. That is why these defense codes are so important. They protect our homeworld and our allies. Heather was about to ask another question when they heard a sound from the tunnel, a metallic scraping noise. She raised the Vrak's weapon, aiming at the darkness. They're coming, she whispered. Is there another way out of this chamber? Sam pointed to a smaller tunnel on the opposite side. That might lead somewhere. These old mines often have multiple exits for safety. Let's go, Heather said. Quietly. They slipped into the smaller tunnel just as the light from Vrak's sensors appeared in the main tunnel. The new passage was narrow, forcing them to walk single file. Heather led, with Nixaria in the middle and Sam bringing up the rear. The tunnel sloped upward, which Heather took as a good sign. Eventually, they saw natural light ahead. The tunnel opened into a small cave on the side of the mountain, hidden by bushes. We made it out, Sam said with relief. Where do we go now? Nixaria asked, looking at the forest around them. Heather thought for a moment. We need a safe place where you can recover properly. And we need to contact someone who can help us deal with the Vraks. My brother's place, Sam suggested. Remember? He has that bunker he built for when the government comes for his guns or whatever. It's well hidden and has supplies. Is he going to be okay with us bringing an alien there? Heather asked. Sam laughed softly. Are you kidding? This will make his decade. He's been claiming aliens are real for years. How far is it? Nixaria asked. About 15 miles. We'll need to walk now that the truck is gone. They set off through the forest, moving as quickly as Nixaria's condition would allow. The day was warm and the forest was peaceful. It was hard to believe they were being hunted by alien soldiers. As they walked, Nixaria explained more about her culture. The Lysari value emotional bonds highly. We believe that connections between individuals are sacred. Like friendship and love? Sam asked. Yes, but perhaps deeper than you think of them. We can form mental connections with those we are close to. Not full telepathy, but sharing of emotions and simple images. That sounds intense, Heather said. It is beautiful, Nixaria replied. When two Lysari form a deep bond, they can sense each other across great distances. It is called Sharvai in our language. The closest translation in your language might be destiny threads, like soulmates. Sam suggested. Similar, but it is not predetermined. It grows from shared experiences, especially surviving danger together. Nixaria looked at Heather when she said this, a strange intensity in her glowing eyes. They walked for hours, stopping occasionally for rest and water. By late afternoon, they reached a small clearing with a cabin similar to Sam's, but more rustic and surrounded by various antennas and satellite dishes. That's my brother's place, Sam said. Let me go first. He's a bit jumpy. Sam approached the cabin while Heather and Nixaria waited at the edge of the clearing. After a few minutes, Sam waved them forward. A man with a beard and the same red hair as Sam stood on the porch, staring openly at Nixaria. Holy crap, Sam wasn't lying, he said as they got closer. Billy, this is Nixaria and my friend Heather, Sam introduced them. They need a place to stay and we need your help. Billy kept staring at Nixaria. You're really not from Earth? I am not, she confirmed. Told you, he said to Sam triumphantly. All those years you said I was crazy for believing in aliens. Yes, you were right, aliens exist. Can we come inside now? We've been walking all day and Nixaria is injured. Billy led them into the cabin, which was filled with computer equipment, ham radios, and what looked like homemade electronic devices. He showed them to the bunker entrance, a trapdoor hidden under a rug that led to a fully stocked underground room. It's not fancy, but it's safe, Billy said proudly. 6 feet of concrete on all sides with air filtration and enough food and water for a month. It's perfect, Heather said sincerely. Thank you. Once they were settled in the bunker with Nixaria resting on a cot, Billy bombarded them with questions about the Vraks and the Lysari. Sam tried to keep him from overwhelming Nixaria, but the alien seemed happy to satisfy his curiosity. Your brother reminds me of our knowledge seekers, she told Sam. Always asking questions, always wanting to understand. That's a nice way of saying he's nosy, Sam replied with a smile. While they talked, Heather explored the bunker. Billy had stockpiled not just food and water, but also weapons, medical supplies, and communications equipment. Some of it looked military grade. Where did your brother get all this stuff? She asked Sam quietly. Best not to ask. He has connections from his time in the army. He was in communications before he started seeing conspiracies everywhere. Heather nodded. His paranoia might just save us. Do you think his equipment could help us contact anyone? Maybe. Who would you call? The military? They might just lock Nixaria up and study her. I don't know yet, but we need allies if we're going to deal with the Vraks. That evening, they sat around the small table in the bunker, eating canned stew that Billy had heated up. Despite the stress of the day, there was a strange comfort in sharing a meal together. So, Space Princess, Billy said to Nixaria, what's your plan now? How do we fight these Vraks guys? I am not exactly a princess, Nixaria corrected him. But I am responsible for my people. I need to warn them that the Vraks have found Earth. They may try to establish a base here to launch attacks against Lysari territories. Can you contact your people? Heather asked. Nixaria touched her wrist device. Not directly. This communicator was damaged in the crash. But with the right equipment, I might be able to boost the signal enough to reach a Lysari scout ship in your solar system. Billy perked up. What kind of equipment? I would need to create a signal amplifier that can reach into space. It would require materials I am not sure you have. Try me, Billy said, grinning. I've been collecting unusual electronics for years. For the next hour, Nick's area listed components and Billy either produced them from his various stashes or suggested alternatives. Heather and Sam watched in amazement as the two of them began constructing a device unlike anything Heather had seen before. Your brother and Nick's area seem to be getting along well, Heather commented to Sam. I've never seen him so happy. This is literally what he's been preparing for his whole adult life. As night fell, Nick's area and Billy continued working on the communication device. Heather took the first watch, sitting near the bunker entrance with the Vrax weapon ready. Sam tried to get some sleep on one of the cots. During a quiet moment, Nick's area came to sit beside Heather. Thank you, she said simply, for saving me, for helping me, for believing me. You're welcome, Heather replied, though I'm still trying to process all this. Yesterday I was just a Navy pilot doing training exercises. Now I'm hiding in a bunker with an alien princess running from space invaders. Nick's area smiled, her skin shifting to a warmer tone. Life changes quickly sometimes. On my world we have a saying, the river finds new paths after the storm. That's a good saying, Heather admitted. So what happens if we manage to contact your people? Will they come get you? 2 days passed in the safety of Billy's bunker. The Lissari ship remained in orbit, systematically eliminating all Vrax presence from Earth and its surroundings. Through the small communication device they had left with Nick's area, they reported that a Vrax mothership had entered the solar system, but retreated after losing contact with its scout ships. Billy's injuries were healing well under Sam's care. His friends had returned to their homes, sworn to secrecy about what they had witnessed. The news reported strange lights in the sky over Montana, but the stories were already being dismissed as weather phenomena or military exercises. Heather spent the time helping Nick's area learn more about human customs and society. The alien was a quick study, absorbing information at an impressive rate. Your languages are fascinating, Nick's area said as they sat looking at books and magazines Billy had collected. So many different ways to express the same concepts. How many Earth languages do you speak? Heather asked. I am fluent in 12 major languages and can understand about 30 more. Part of my diplomatic training. Nick's area smiled, though I still struggle with some of your idioms. You're doing better than most humans, Heather assured her. On the evening of the second day, Nick's area received a final message from the Lissari ship. She listened intently, then turned to the others with a mix of emotions on her face. They are finishing their work. They have removed all traces of Vrax technology from your planet and have spoken with your government leaders. As expected, your authorities agreed to selective memory adjustment to prevent panic. So no one will remember any of this? Sam asked. Only those who directly encountered me or the Vrax. Others will remember only vague reports that were later explained away. Your government will retain some knowledge, but only at the highest levels, and only that an alien species visited peacefully and then departed. What about us? Billy asked nervously. Will they wipe our memories too? No, Nick's area assured him. You helped me willingly. Your memories are your own. But they asked that you be discreet. Billy laughed. No one would believe me anyway. And I'm used to keeping secrets. What happens now? Heather asked the question that had been on her mind. Nick's area held up the small device the Lissari had given her. With this I can appear fully human. It projects a field that alters how light reflects from my skin and changes the appearance of my eyes and other non-human features. I would still need to wear something to cover the crystal structures on my head, but otherwise I could walk among humans unnoticed. And then what? Sam asked. You'll need identification, a background story, somewhere to live. I have thought about this, Nick's area said. With my knowledge of multiple languages and cultures, I could perhaps work as a translator or teacher, but I would need help establishing an identity. I might know some people who could help with that, Billy offered. From my army days. People who know how to create new identities, no questions asked. Is that legal? Sam asked her brother with a raised eyebrow. Not exactly, but neither is harboring an alien refugee. Heather had been quiet, thinking. Now she spoke up. Before we make any decisions, Nixaria, there's something you wanted to tell me. Something about us and what happens when a Lissari forms a bond after facing death together. Nixaria's skin shifted to a soft pink tone, a sign of emotion that Heather had come to recognize. Yes, it is important that you understand. She looked at Sam and Billy. Could we have some privacy? They nodded and moved to another part of the bunker, giving Heather and Nixaria space to talk. In Lysari culture, Nixaria began, bonds formed through shared danger are considered sacred. We call it HFY, destiny threads. When two beings face death together and choose to protect each other, something changes between them at a fundamental level. Like a survival bond, Heather suggested it is more than that. Our scientists believe it creates actual changes in our biology. Our cells remember the other person at a molecular level. It is why Lysari partnerships are not arranged or based on convenience but on these profound connections. Heather was beginning to understand. And you think we've formed this bond? This HFY? I know we have. I can feel it. When you are near, my body responds differently. My thoughts are clearer. Even my wound healed faster in your presence. Nixaria took a deep breath. In my culture, when this happens, it is customary for the two individuals to form a permanent partnership. You mean like marriage? Heather asked, surprised. Similar, though with deeper implications. It is a recognition that our lives are now intertwined, that we function better together than apart. Nixaria's eyes glowed intensely. In human terms, yes, I am proposing marriage. Heather sat back, stunned. Nixaria, we've only known each other for a few days. I understand this seems sudden by human standards, and I do not expect an immediate answer, but I wanted you to understand why I feel so connected to you, why I am certain that our meeting was not random chance. Is this because I saved your life? Because you don't owe me anything? No, Nixaria interrupted firmly. It is not about debt or gratitude. It is about compatibility at the deepest level. When you saved me, when we fought together, when you chose to protect me even at risk to yourself. These actions revealed your true nature, and that nature resonates with mine. Heather didn't know what to say. Part of her thought this was crazy, being proposed to by an alien she'd just met. But another part recognized the truth in what Nixaria was saying. There was a connection between them, something she had felt from the beginning but couldn't explain. I need time to think about this, she finally said. Of course, time is one thing we now have. Nixaria smiled gently. I have lost my home, my position, my former life, but I have gained a new world, new friends, and perhaps a new purpose. Whatever you decide, I am grateful for that. The next morning, a final message came from the Lysari ship. They were leaving Earth's orbit, confident that the Vrax threat had been eliminated. They provided coordinates for a small emergency beacon, hidden in an isolated location, that Nixaria could use if the Vrax ever returned. As the ship departed, Heather stood outside the cabin with Nixaria, watching the sky. The alien's expression was a mixture of sadness and hope. It is strange, Nixaria said quietly. I can never go home, yet I do not feel entirely lost. Later that day, they began making plans. Billy would contact his friends about creating a new identity for Nixaria. Sam offered her spare room as temporary housing until Nixaria could establish herself. Heather, whose leave from the Navy would end soon, promised to visit whenever possible. We should test that device they gave you, Sam suggested. See how well it works. Nixaria activated the small Lysari technology. Immediately, her appearance changed. Her skin lost its opalescent quality, taking on a normal human tone. Her glowing amber eyes with vertical pupils transformed to appear as regular brown human eyes. Only the crystal structures on her head remained unchanged, but these could be covered with a hat or scarf. That's incredible, Billy said, walking around her. You look completely human. How does it feel? Heather asked. Strange, Nixaria admitted. Like wearing clothing that is too tight. But I will adjust. They decided to test the disguise in public. The nearest town was small but had a diner where they could have lunch without attracting too much attention. Nixaria wore a stylish scarf that Sam provided to cover her crystal hair. At the diner, Nixaria handled herself well. Though small things gave away her unfamiliarity with human customs, the way she examined the silverware too carefully, how she tasted each food with scientific interest, her formal speech patterns. But to casual observers, she simply appeared to be a foreigner, perhaps visiting from another country. You'll get better with practice, Heather assured her as they walked back to the truck. And you already know more about our culture than most humans know about each other's cultures. That evening, Heather received a call from her commanding officer. Her leave was being cut short. She was needed back at base the next day. When she told the others, there was a moment of silence. I'll drive you to the airport, Sam offered. Heather looked at Nixaria, whose expression was carefully controlled. Can I talk to you privately before I go? She asked. They walked outside where the Montana night was cool and filled with stars. For a while, they just stood looking up at the sky together. I've been thinking about what you said, Heather finally began. About bonds formed through danger, about Sharvai. And? Nixaria's voice was soft but intense. I don't know what to call what's between us, but I know it's real. I know it's something I've never felt before. Heather turned to face her directly. I'm not ready for marriage, not yet. In human culture, we usually take more time for that decision, but I am ready to explore whatever this is between us. Nixaria's eyes glowed brighter behind the human disguise. That is more than I hoped for. I have to go back to my duties. I have commitments I need to honor. But I want to see where this leads. I want to help you build a life here, and I want to be part of that life. What do humans call this stage? Nixaria asked. When they are more than friends but not yet committed to partnership? Heather smiled. Dating. We call it dating. Morning came, and with it a sense of urgency. Heather woke to find Billy and Nixaria still working on the communication device. They had been at it all night, and dark circles showed under Billy's eyes. Nixaria looked tired too, though it showed differently on her alien features. Her skin had lost some of its shimmer, and the crystal structures on her head seemed duller. Have you two been up all night? Heather asked, joining them at the workbench. We're close, Billy said excitedly. This technology is amazing. The way Nixaria thinks about energy and communication, it's like nothing I've ever seen. We have created a device that should allow us to send a focus signal toward the outer reaches of your solar system, Nixaria explained. But we will need to place it somewhere high with clear access to the sky. Sam, who had just woken up, joined the conversation. The ridge above the cabin would work. It has a clear view in all directions. There's a problem, Billy said, his excitement fading. I've been monitoring radio chatter with my equipment. There are people looking for you. Military government types. They're searching the area where Nixaria's pod crashed, and they're expanding outward. How close are they? Heather asked. About 10 miles from here and getting closer. They're using heat sensors and other detection equipment. The Vrax will be watching them, Nixaria said. They often let less advanced species do the searching for them, then strike when their target is found. Heather paced the small bunker. We need to get that communication device to the ridge and contact your people before either the military or the Vrax find us. I have some friends who might help, Billy offered. Other believers. They have equipment, vehicles. Some of them are ex-military like me. Can they be trusted? Heather asked. With this? Billy gestured at Nixaria. Absolutely. They've been waiting their whole lives to prove aliens exist. Call them, Heather decided. We need all the help we can get. While Billy made secure calls to his friends, Sam checked Nixaria's wound. It was healing surprisingly fast. Your cells regenerate much quicker than ours, Sam noted with professional interest. Yes, but the process requires energy. That is why I feel weak. My body is focusing on healing. You should eat something, Sam suggested, offering some of their food supplies. Nixaria examined the canned food curiously before trying it. Her reaction to the taste was amusing, a mixture of surprise and confusion. Your food is very intense, she said diplomatically. Sorry we don't have any alien cuisine, Heather joked. It will provide energy. That is what matters now. Billy returned with good news. 3 of my buddies are on their way. They're bringing equipment and weapons. They'll be here in a couple of hours. Perfect, Heather said. That gives us time to plan. They spent the next hour discussing strategies. Nixaria explained more about the Vrax, their weaknesses, their tactics, their technology. Heather was impressed by her knowledge. You know a lot about warfare for a diplomat, she observed. Nixaria looked slightly embarrassed. All Lissari leaders must understand conflict, even if we prefer peace. And I have additional training that most diplomats do not. What kind of training? Sam asked. Before Nixaria could answer, Billy's security system beeped. He checked a monitor. It's my friends. They're at the perimeter. Billy went up to meet them while the others waited in the bunker. Soon he returned with 3 men. They all stopped and stared when they saw Nixaria. Holy crap, one of them said. It's really true. Guys, this is Nixaria, Billy introduced them. Nixaria, these are my friends, Pete, Darren, and Lou. They're going to help us. The men snapped out of their shock and greeted her with surprising respect. They had brought equipment as promised: radios, weapons, night vision goggles, and a rugged truck hidden in the forest. "We also brought news," Pete said, turning serious. "The government search is getting more organized. They've called in some high-level people, and there are reports of unusual aircraft in the area." "The Vraks," Nixaria confirmed. "They are watching your government search efforts." "We need to move fast," Heather said. "Is the communication device ready?" "It is," Nixaria replied. "We just need to position it properly." They quickly packed the equipment they would need. Billy's friends seemed completely committed to helping them, treating the mission with military precision. Lou, who had been a communications specialist in the Army, was particularly helpful with the technical aspects. "The ridge is about 2 miles from here," Billy explained as they prepared to leave. "We can drive part way, but the last half-mile is on foot." "I'll take point," Heather said, falling easily into her military training. "Nixaria stays in the middle of the group with the device. Sam, you stay close to her in case her wound reopens." Everyone agreed to the plan. Before they left the bunker, Billy handed out earpieces so they could communicate quietly. The truck ride was tense but uneventful. They parked in a hidden spot and continued on foot, moving quietly through the forest. Heather led with the Vrak's weapon, scanning constantly for threats. When they reached the base of the ridge, Pete, who was at the rear, whispered into his radio. "Movement behind us. About half a mile back." "Government or Vraks?" Heather asked. "Can't tell. They're moving carefully, using the trees for cover." "Keep moving. We need to reach the top." They climbed the ridge quickly, helping Nixaria when needed. Despite her improving condition, the steep climb was challenging for her. When they reached the top, they were rewarded with a clear view in all directions. The forest stretched out below them, with mountains in the distance. "This is perfect," Nixaria said. She and Billy quickly set up the communication device on a flat rock. It was a strange-looking contraption, part Earth technology and part alien. "How long will this take?" Heather asked, keeping watch with her weapon ready. "The signal must travel far," Nixaria explained. "It may take minutes or hours for a response if one comes at all." "We'll keep you safe until then," Heather promised. Nixaria activated the device. It hummed to life, parts of it glowing with the same blue light as her blood. She spoke into it in her native language, a flowing musical sound unlike any Earth language. "Message sent," she said when she finished. "Now we wait." They didn't have to wait long for trouble. Lou's radio crackled. "Movement on the north slope." "Definitely not government. They're too big and moving wrong." "Vrak's ground troops," Nixaria said grimly. "They must have detected our signal." "Positions," Heather ordered. "Pete, Darren, west side. Lou, Billy, east side. Sam, stay with Nixaria. I'll take the north approach." Everyone moved quickly, taking cover behind rocks and trees. Heather found a position with a good view of the north slope. Soon she saw them. 3 Vrak soldiers climbing toward them. They moved with unnatural precision, their multiple arms helping them navigate the rough terrain. 3 contacts north side, she reported quietly, armed with energy weapons. 2 more on the west, Pete responded, and 3 east, Billy added. "They're surrounding us." Heather made a quick decision. "Wait until they're in range, then hit them hard and fast. Aim for the joints in their armor." The Vrak soldiers continued their approach, unaware they had been spotted. When the closest one was about 50 yards away, Heather fired the alien weapon. The energy beam hit the soldier in the chest, causing it to stumble but not fall. Immediately, all the Vrak soldiers began firing back. Energy beams struck rocks and trees around them, causing small explosions. Pete and Darren returned fire with their earth weapons, which seemed to have some effect when they hit vulnerable spots. "Keep them back," Heather shouted, firing again. "Nixaria, how much longer?" "I cannot say," Nixaria replied, her voice tense. "The signal has been sent. We must maintain this position." The firefight intensified. The Vraks were coordinating their movements, trying to flank them. Billy was hit in the arm by an energy beam, causing him to cry out in pain. Sam rushed to help him, applying a field dressing to the burn. "We can't hold them off much longer," Heather realized. There were too many of them, and they were too well armed. Just when the situation seemed most desperate, Nixaria's device emitted a high-pitched tone. She bent over it, listening intently. "I have contact with a Lissari scout ship," she announced. "They are in orbit around your moon. I am sending our coordinates. Tell them to hurry." Heather shouted as she fired at another approaching Vrak soldier. Nyxaria spoke rapidly into the device, her voice urgent. When she finished, her expression was complex, relief mixed with sadness. They are coming. But there is news. The High Council believed I was captured when my ship was attacked. They followed protocol and deactivated my access codes. What does that mean? Sam asked, still tending to Billy's wound. It means I am officially memory dead to my people. I can never return home. Nyxaria's voice was steady despite the pain behind her words. I'm sorry, Heather said, genuinely sad for her. But at least they're coming to help us? Yes, they will be here soon. They have weapons that can defeat the Vraks. The battle continued, with the humans gradually losing ground. 2 more of Billy's friends were injured, though not severely. The Vraks pressed their advantage, getting closer to the communication device. Whatever your people are going to do, they need to do it fast, Heather told Nyxaria, firing the last of the energy weapon's charge. It sputtered and went dead in her hands. Nyxaria pointed to the sky. Look,